7 Feb. 65. My Dearest Suzie. I suppose by now you have heard the news of the VC attacks on American compounds over here. We got the word about it this morning when we got up, and of course everybody is real upset about it. Now we are all sweating out the dead and wounded list from Pleiku. We had some people from the 62nd and a lot of the 3rd up there. And of course, we have the worry of getting hit ourselves again. I'm in another bad mood tonight, as you can no doubt understand. It seems like for every step we take forward, we go back too. It is hopeless. And on top of everything else, Charlie was a bad boy today. He's been running loose around here, and everybody plays with him, but he has learned how to open the doors on most of the hooches. So today he got in one of them while we were all out and made hash out of somebody's. Today was my first day off this month, and it wasn't actually a day off. I had to go out this morning and give 2 check rides, so I flew about 2 hours. I guess the holidays are over now. We have a big troop lift tomorrow. I have a pretty good setup in my room for coffee now. I keep a jar of instant, and I scrounged up an electric coffee pot that works, so I keep hot water in it all the time. Well, you said you liked long letters. Maybe this will make up for the last 2. I love you very much and miss you all. Kiss the boys for me and tell Billy I'm still looking for a letter. Charlie is fine. All my love. Bill. P.S. 8 months isn't so long. It isn't as long as a pregnancy. Bill. In this letter, Popi wrote home to Meemaw with a heavy heart. News had just reached him about the Viet Cong attack on American compounds in Pleiku, and the weight of it was settling over his unit. His letter is brief, but the frustration and exhaustion in his words are undeniable. The attack on Pleiku was a turning point in U.S. involvement in Vietnam. In the early morning hours of February 7th, the Viet Cong launched a surprise assault on Camp Holloway, an American helicopter base in the Central Highlands. 8 Americans were killed, over 100 were wounded, and several aircraft were destroyed or damaged. The immediate U.S. response was swift. Within hours, President Lyndon B. Johnson ordered Operation Flaming Dart, a series of airstrikes against North Vietnamese targets. This marked a shift from a primarily advisory and support role to direct military engagement. The Pleiku attack reinforced the belief among U.S. leadership that a stronger military presence was necessary, leading to further escalation, including the eventual deployment of ground combat troops. For the men stationed in Vietnam, this attack sent a clear message. The war was escalating, and the enemy was capable of reaching them where they lived. Popi and his fellow soldiers weren't just hearing about casualties. They were waiting for names, wondering if their friends and comrades were among the dead. The attack on Pleiku wasn't just a news event. It was personal. Popi's letter that day captures something raw. He states, "It is hopeless." He says it in frustration, exhaustion, and fear. But what did he mean by it? Was it the feeling of futility, seeing progress erased by every new attack? Was it the realization that no amount of preparation could stop the enemy from getting through? Or was it something more personal? An exhaustion that came from months of relentless operations, sleepless nights, and the weight of knowing that every mission carried the risk of not coming back. The attack on Pleiku also came at a time when U.S. soldiers were starting to feel the wear of the war. They weren't just fighting an enemy they could see, they were fighting uncertainty, shifting strategies, and a growing sense that victory, as they had originally imagined it, might not be possible. Popi wasn't the only one who felt this way. Many veterans would later talk about the slow realization that Vietnam wasn't a war with a clear end. As the conflict dragged on, hopelessness settled into the minds of many soldiers. Some kept going out of duty, some out of camaraderie, some simply because there was no other option. Even in his fear, Popi keeps going. He writes about his unit's upcoming mission, about his makeshift coffee setup, and about his love for his family. Even in his darkest moments, he finds small ways to stay grounded. This letter is a reminder that war isn't just about battles, it's about the people caught in them, dealing with the emotional and mental toll of it all. If you've been following along with Dearest Suzie, you know that Popi's letters have shifted over time. Some days he's lighthearted, others he's frustrated. This letter, written on the day of one of the most pivotal attacks in early 1965, is one of the more revealing ones. It shows us what war feels like in real time, when the news isn't just headlines, it's something you're living through. We have to wonder how many times that day he asked himself, "Are we next?" The photo I chose for today shows Charlie climbing up someone's pants. According to Popi, he was a bit of a base mascot, and people would often play with him to distract themselves. Though he caused a lot of trouble for Popi, making hash out of people's living quarters, I hope he was able to bring joy to some of the guys as often as he could. I'm Alex Lowie, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Popi wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.